give you their names, and they will identify themselves, because I met them once, so I don't remember which is which.
We were all wasted.
Though actually I do recognize the one on the last is Ethan Mermelstein, who is the creator.
Mermelstein, don't break my teeth.
If I had said it the other way, it would have been the other way.
Right, exactly.
Who is the creator of We Want Our Money Back. Both the writer and the director. Of course, you'll recognize him from that. So then the co-writer and director of Keep Going Joon is Cedar Daniels.
Hello.
And you'll recognize him. And finally, but not least, is our Chris Roberti and Josh Itzkowitz,
Nice.
both who wrote and
Made same boat.
right.
Encompassing name.
Yeah.
Now, before we start off with all the intelligent questions, I've got one for you two. It said in the description that you actually did this on the boat without checking with anyone.
That's
You
what we're
just
gonna ask
did
you.
it.
Yeah.
What was that like?
We just got out of boat prison a month ago. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure, yeah. We did a test cruise a year before shooting the movie to do camera and sound tests and kind of just observe a cruise together. And the short of it is that we just, had hidden microphones and used a small camera and sort of developed a system where we could film and go unnoticed. And now in 2018, 2019, when you go on a vacation, everyone has a camera and is recording. And so it's actually not too hard to film something without being noticed because everyone is filming around you.
Do the cruise ship owners know you did it now?
No, there was a steward on our hull. We booked the same cruise back to back because we needed to get to Key West, Cozumel. We wanted 2 shots at everything, and it was a 3.5-day cruise. So I thought that they see so many people that we'd just be forgotten as soon as we left. But as soon as we got on, they were like, "Josh, you came back." But nobody reported us, and we've digitally erased any logos, so no one will know.
That guy recognizing you was a sign of a true professional.
Oh, they're very nice. They were very kind.
I've never been on one of those cruise boats, and it looked wild.
We were only allowed to show just a portion of how crazy things got.
Okay, folks, now do you have some questions?
You didn't introduce Barry.
June?
Oh.
I didn't.
Yeah, sorry. Next to me is our lead actor, Brandon Beilis, for Keep Going Joon, and Jeremy Holm, our anesthesiologist.
He wasn't on
Oh,
my
I'm sorry,
list.
co-writer. I apologize. He sometimes writes stuff and gives me notes. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he co-wrote. Yes, and we wrote the film together.
I have a question for these guys.
Yes, sure.
How did you steal the shots you stole? How did you get sound to work? How did you do it? I need to know more.
So one of the ways this movie came about was to just kind of figure out how to hack a production where, an indie movie without any money kind of struggles with basic things like craft services and set design and background extras. And so on a cruise, all those things are taken care of, which is great. And so for, everything in that movie was shot handheld. Our cinematographer wore his camera around the neck, and he's relatively steady hands. And we used lav microphones. We found out on the test cruise that a wireless microphone wouldn't work because there's too much interference on a boat. And so we basically had a little audio pack that went into the actor's pocket, and we synced the sound afterwards. But there was just a crew of one, really. Our DP shot it, and then I would run sound, split that duty with an actor. And so it was just no dedicated sound person. Kind of this rule that you always need a sound person on set makes sense until it doesn't. And so we didn't have a sound person on our set.
You absolutely had to.
I will also say we shot like 90 pages in 7 days because there was no real lights and it was really fun. I like working that way, quick, and we had maybe max 3 takes of everything. So there was those like natural deadlines. So, and having no crew or no setup really allowed us to be nimble.
If you're not in the movie business, you don't understand how astounding that is. It's astounding.
Yeah, I'm not in the movie business, but I've got to monitor Jay Craven's filmmaking. And so, yeah, it's a little different. Anybody else?
Was there, did you ever check if there's going to be any consequences lawfully? And if there is,
Who are you?
what's gonna happen?
I want to see some ID. Oh, they said, she said, did we check? Did we kind of see if there would be any consequences? We were kind of, one touchstone was Escape from Tomorrow, which was filmed at Disneyland and Disney World. But that kind of paints a bad picture of Disney. We called a few more upscale cruises to see if they'd let us do it. They all said no, but some were softer no's, and we were saving this one. This was the cheapest cruise. We were saving this we didn't want to ask anything of them. But we feel pretty safe.
Can they sue you? That's what
I guess.
No. Sure, yeah. So we a two-part answer. One is Escape from Tomorrow was kind of this big movie that shot at Disney and said it would never see the light of day. And they got a lawyer to write a legal letter saying why it was okay, and it was because it was being used in a parody. And even though Disney is really a private space, it's basically a public space. And so that was kind of the idea of, let's really feature anyone who's not an actor in the background of our movie. We won't have any logos. And then when it comes time, talking to a distributor or something like that, we would get a legal letter written, and then that letter gets looked at by an insurance company who says, I'll insure your movie for distribution. And so we are at that stage now where we are talking to this lawyer about that legal letter, and they've watched the movie and they've actually said, yeah, everything you thought is more or less right, and there shouldn't be an issue. We haven't quite cleared that hump, but that's sort of where we're at. So yeah, I think
it's a brilliant thing what you've done, and I think we should be doing more and more of these kind of crimes because they're really, the system rips the filmmakers who are coming in to the scene because it's so expensive to make films, and just because of that, so many filmmakers give up on their productions. There's a lot of permits, lots of money to spend, but we just want to tell stories. That's why I was just so in awe. Thank you for showing us the way.
Really, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. That's kind.
Being sneaky pays.
Do you have thoughts of using the techniques that you learned in this production to do something similar?
While we were on, we thought this is really fun and that we would want to do it again. Again, because it was room and board was paid for. It was just pure play, that when you weren't on, Josh and I were working every shot all day, but even that was fun. And then when the people weren't, they were on vacation. And we would have meals together, and we got to go to fancy dinner together. So it was fun. And Josh and I met. He made a film at a music festival that was also shots. We had permission from that festival, but we were in the camping in the Poconos for 2 weeks, and it was film camp. So I really do like that model. But Josh and I have said we'll never work together again, I think. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for your honesty.
I have a question for Keep Going June. I've suffered some back injury, and I would like to know how it seemed very real, and the total depression from a back injury I thought I received it through the screen and through the acting. How autobiographical was it, or how true is all that?
This is 100% true, and it's based on this young man right here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a true life story. I have a passion for basketball, and never was injured. I even played college sports. Never got injured until about my late 30s after I got married, and tore an ACL on my left. And then most of the scenes you've seen were actually kind of true to form. Some were a little exaggerated, some weren't. The back spasm specifically was actually happened to me. I was home, had a friend come over and flipped on a light switch and went to severe back spasms where I pommel-horsed the sink for about 30 minutes, looking at myself in the mirror, sweating, wondering if this was it. Yeah. And then I exaggerated the sink. The real true story is my dog got very sick and threw up all over the hallway, and I ended up having to crawl through it, but getting dogs in production and yeah. My doctor did say, after I hopped down the hallway, he did give me that test. He said, I'll see when you bust your next one. And then my arm bar broke the first time I had surgery. So, and it's common. The arm bar actually falls off often, and the last thing I remember is the anesthesiologist came in kind of with an accent, and I didn't know what was going on. The arm bar broke, and that was the last thing I remember. Yeah.
My back is nowhere near as bad as his back, but I did go get an MRI machine, and they had Pink Floyd on, which we couldn't use because the rights were way too expensive to use Floyd. But he said, do you want to listen to some music? And I said, please put some Pink Floyd on. And I love Pink Floyd, but there was this one song that I had never heard, and it was just that woman that we all know, but she was just, for like 20 minutes. So we put that in there too. We just put all the pains we had into this short.
The doctor that played your doctor, where did you find him? He was hysterical.
He's a good friend of mine. That's Todd Allen Crane, and he is hysterical. There's only one shot in the outtakes of me laughing at him, but there were so many apologies because he kept making everybody laugh. We had to cease filming constantly. He's very talented. He's an improviser.
Where did you get the idea to make him that sort of?
Well, so originally the idea was that it's an exaggeration of everything that's happening to you. So it's really, your doctors are very nice. They're very sweet, although they don't give you the time you think you need. And when someone says you need surgery, you don't hear anything afterwards. It's proven for like 30, 40 seconds, it's just a blur. So I had always thought of these young doctors who were good looking and looked at us as kind of like, oh, this is my next car, this is my next boat, jokingly, because that's what I thought was funny. And so I said, well, it'd be interesting if it kept happening to him. And this idea of this doctor who's very eccentric, but it's really him thinking about what his doctor's actually thinking, even though it's not the case. So in the very last scene, when you see the doctor come in and he's actually telling them all the things that are going to probably happen to him and shakes his hand, that's actually what a normal visit would be like. And then for the song and dance was simply, the idea is once you have one surgery on the knee and then you blow out your next knee and you come in, it's the same routine, so it's just a song and dance. You need surgery. Oh, and our choreographer is right here, Ashley, who the idea was like, can we do a musical number in an examining room? And she made it happen.
Ethan, thank you for a wonderfully dry film. Fantasy of asking for money back. Has anyone ever gotten their money back?
I don't know. I don't know what therapy is. I never have been. No. Yeah, it's from rumors. No, I wrote it 2 days after my girlfriend and I of 5 years broke up. Wow. And then because I'm out of my mind, I went to a real therapist in character with the actress. And it was very helpful to do. The therapist was really good. The therapist knew what we were doing. We wrote extensive backstories, and she was so good that by the end we were saying "I love you" to each other, and she solved things that I couldn't solve in my previous relationship. So I recommend, if you have any traumatic relationships, to make a movie about it and be in the movie.
Picking up on what you said and mentioning the doctor, I thought the concept was great to be
Yeah, I mean, having been in that scenario, it is strange. And my ex-girlfriend and I kind of said, like, how do we know? I feel like we have to be the ones to make the decision because this person's job is to keep us together, even if it's not. Yeah.
Your pain is very funny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
I think we have time for one more, and then I think we're supposed to.
What state were we?
No.
What's next?
What's next? Go ahead.
I think there is food later today. Something happening. I don't know. We're trying to get into other festivals, right? Okay.
Same thing, and I'm editing something that I made with my grandmother that I'm excited about. So.
You got some? I got some. Cedar and I do a lot of writing together, so we're working on a couple things right now. With June specifically, we talked about maybe making a feature. Yeah, that's a total possibility. Maybe if we could drum up a little fundage and execute at a larger level.
Yeah. And hopefully it's more festivals. The festival.
Always more festivals.
Yes.
Well, folks, I guess that's it. Oh, one more question.
Yeah, all right. Ethan, just following up on what you were saying before about that, when you went character out there.
Yeah.
Was that like you shot or you did a research trip?
It was, so I wrote a script. It was very tight and punchy, and then I ended up working with this actress whose work I admired for a while. So I thought I wanted to ground these characters a bit more. So we didn't film it. We were gonna like sneakily actually book a real session, but it seemed like it wouldn't serve the purpose of the exercise, and also maybe is a little bit fucked up to do. I don't know. So I have a friend who's in psych grad school, and she connected us with a classmate who's specializing in couples therapy. And she then asked, she's like, I need a list of your problems in your relationship. So I wrote this like character bio that was a few degrees off of my real life, and Sarah wrote one a few degrees off of her real life. And then going off of that, we had a real session for like an hour and a half. It was very intense. And the therapist is very good, if anybody needs.
Well, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.